You know, when you think of an island, what comes to mind? For most of us, it's probably, a little patch of sand, maybe a couple of palm trees. But that simple picture, it hides these epic stories of continents literally breaking apart, of massive mountains rising right up from the ocean floor. The truth is, not all islands are created equal, and their birth stories, way more dramatic than you'd ever imagine.
So, are they all born the same? Well, the short answer is a big, definite no. Islands have these wildly different origin stories. I mean, some are born in fire from these insane volcanic eruptions, while others are basically ancient pieces of continents just set adrift. And understanding how they were born, that's really the key to unlocking the secrets of the islands themselves.
Right, so here's the definition we all learn in school. And look, it's true, as far as it goes. But hiding behind that super simple sentence is this incredibly complex geological story that splits all the world's islands into two fundamentally different types, and each one has its own incredible history.
Okay, so on one side, you've got your continental islands. Think of them as lost fragments of a bigger landmass, sharing all its history and biology. And then, on the other side, you have oceanic islands. These are the real pioneers, born from volcanic fury deep on the ocean floor, totally isolated. So let's start with those ancient breakaways, shall we?
So yeah, these are the breakaways. Picture them as lost pieces of continents, geological castaways that got separated by rising seas or the super slow but incredibly powerful drift of tectonic plates. They're basically echoes of the landmass they once called home.
And what's so fascinating about them is that they carry this kind of geological memory. The rocks, the plants, even the animals, they often have close cousins right on the nearby mainland. It's like a living blueprint of their shared history, from way back before the sea came between them.
Now, these continental islands aren't all the same, not by a long shot. Some are just massive, standalone fragments, like Madagascar. That thing tore away from Africa millions of years ago. Others formed groups, archipelagos, like the British Isles, which were actually connected to mainland Europe once upon a time. And then you get these really dramatic island arcs, like the Aleutians. They're forged in this curve where one tectonic plate is grinding underneath another, pushing up a whole chain of volcanoes. Just incredible.
Okay, so let's leave the coasts behind for a bit and head way out into the deep ocean, because out here, we find a completely different kind of island. See, oceanic islands have zero connection to any continent. They're the true pioneers, born right from the sea itself, sometimes thousands of miles from the closest shore.
So, how in the world are these pioneers born? Well, one of the most spectacular ways is through something called a volcanic hotspot. I want you to imagine a super hot blowtorch just fixed deep inside the Earth, and it's punching holes through the planet's crust. As a tectonic plate slowly drifts over this island factory, a whole chain of volcanoes is born.
The whole process is like this incredible conveyor belt. The hotspot itself stays put, right? But the tectonic plate keeps moving over it. So a volcano erupts, it builds and builds up from the seafloor until, boom, it becomes an island. Then the plate just carries that island away, and a brand new one starts to form in its place. That's how you get a chain like the Hawaiian Islands.
And the result of all this is two main types of oceanic islands. You've got the really dramatic volcanic islands. I mean, they're literally the peaks of underwater mountains. But then you also have coral islands, like the Maldives. These are built so slowly, so patiently, over thousands of years by billions of tiny little coral animals, forming these beautiful, low-lying atolls that are just barely above the waves.
But natural forces aren't the only island builders anymore. Nope, humanity has entered the game, and our impact is this dramatic story of two extremes. On one hand, incredible creation, and on the other, a devastating threat.
Believe it or not, we've actually been building our own land for hundreds of years. An artificial island is, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's land created by people, whether that means expanding what's already there or just starting completely from scratch right in the middle of the water.
And some of the modern examples of this are just breathtakingly ambitious. Take the Palm Islands in Dubai. These things are massive, sprawling structures built entirely by human hands, all to create new land for luxury developments where space is, really scarce. They're so big you can actually see them from space. That's just a stunning testament to our engineering power.
But there's such a stark contrast here, because while we're busy building new islands, we're also threatening the very existence of others. This quote, it really highlights a powerful, almost desperate act.
See, the threat of rising seas isn't just about land disappearing under the waves. It's about salt water getting into freshwater supplies, destroying crops, and making islands totally uninhabitable long before they actually sink. It's about crippling the tourism economies that so many island nations completely depend on.
So, okay, we've looked at how islands are born and how they're threatened. The big question now is, why does any of this matter? And the answer is that these tiny little specks of land have this absolutely outsized importance for our planet and for all of us.
Just look at this number. That's how many people call islands their home. We're talking over 500 million people who depend on these unique ecosystems for their lives, their culture, and their economic stability. It's huge.
And you know, their importance goes way beyond just the people who live there. Islands are absolute powerhouses of biodiversity. They support more than half of the entire world's marine life, and they're home to a crazy number of the richest ecological hotspots on the planet. They are just absolutely vital.
But here's the flip side. That same concentration of unique life also makes them incredibly vulnerable. A really sobering 64% of all recorded extinctions have happened on islands. The very isolation that drives all that unique evolution, it's also what makes them so fragile when things start to change. And so, we're left with this question. From their violent births to their incredibly delicate ecosystems, islands are really on the front lines of our changing world. They're these cradles of life and culture, and you know what? Their future is a direct reflection of our own. So, what will that future look like?